say most of the politicians like our organization because they have better contacts across the country. So
Yeah.
then it was taken to a rural ministry once, and then it came to traditional industries ministry again, and now only it has come under the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. So it is a good sign, I suppose.
Yeah,
We can do a good job.
Remember the
Yeah.
problem is extension officers are not technically.
Any questions to be answered? Unanswered questions?
Yeah. And sir, you say the car company that we don't know much.
Who said car company?
Car company? No,
That's
no. I said
Brass.
brass industries.
Yeah. In Pilamatala
Casting.
area. Yeah.
Right.
Arts and crafts.
Yeah.
Casting. Yeah,
Casting, brass
at the moment,
industry.
I
Yeah.
am very happy to say. Yes. I am happy to say, with the discussions of Mr. Paskaralingam, now we have been able to give about very huge amount of ammunition, these shells, empty
Yeah.
shells now we
Okay,
have
yeah.
Copper
after
and
using
brass.
brass shells. So about we recently gave about 25 tons, and we still have lot of brass with us. Now we can give even 500 tons to the people. At the moment, we are discussing with the people who are making hinges and other brass fittings. So we will be able to give some of these brass scraps to these people as well.
Yeah. They have a raw material problem, and then they use substandard material.
Now I think that is over now. So we very recently
Okay, yeah.
gave about one month back about 30 tons to Pilamatala.
Okay, yeah, good.
So I think again we should focus like the SME sector is, and I think that's where the competitive advantage will also come at the same time. If if you can motivate and engage them with the fourth industrial technologies, they are going to see a huge benefit. So at the beginning they are not seeing it. I think that's where I think we need to partner with IDB, and then we can talk about the product development exercises that will involve these new technologies for the future, and there we can develop more cutting edge products more efficiently. Because one issue with the fourth industrial technologies in the big companies is they have a lot of traditional processes already established, and those need to be changed, and it is hard to change those. So the change is hard for them. So when you start from scratch in Sri Lanka with these technologies, it is start from beginning. So this is a huge opportunity, and we don't want to miss this one in Sri Lanka actually. So that's why we have been saying this right from beginning when we started FabLabka. We don't want to miss this opportunity that are upon us, and play in using this fourth industry. Just the start, as I said. So I think that's where we need to have a partnership and start working together in developing products and with organizations.
Okay, Priyanka, can I ask as a follow-up again with Vaishan? Now, are there any formal way of partnering with IDB for a company like FabLabka? Is there a formal?
Yes, of course.
Like what? How do?
Yes, of course you can join IDB. Now we are planning to sort of, earlier I mentioned the quality issues and which is not getting developed. So we are planning to do another strategy which is practiced by other countries like Malaysia, Thailand and Vietnam, where what we do is we try to link local SMEs with BOI companies. That is one way that we can improve quality and even inculcate good good quality culture. So I spoke to the DG of BOI. So next month we will be able to have discussions and visit even BOI companies, and we personally go there and check the subcontracting opportunities for SMEs. Our SMEs, we call SMEs, not SMEs. So yes, small and medium industry. So if it is possible, even we can call your crowd as well, and we can join hands.
Now, for example, what is the role? We are a training partner. I don't know, consultants or service providers.
Yeah, now, generally we do programs all across the country, and you can join as a resource personnel.
Okay.
But in this case, so generally we do the program to a crowd. But here it should not be to a crowd. It should be like individual basis, individual industry basis. But otherwise, our service will be very general, and it will be blanket service. So service like yours should not be blanket. It should be very specific and individual industry basis. I think that we will have to deal that way as well.
Can I say something here? Actually, right now I am supervising. It's a dissertation of an MBA student, but it is dealing with developing a new business model where the established apparel exporter, I won't mention the name, they are well established, and now they are trying to open a new channel by networking with small industries, and they're not going to invest or own those companies. Instead, we'll bring them into the network, and we are looking at developing a new business model, because in a business model there are there's a matrix with 9 boxes. All 9 boxes, the compatibility and who is going to play what role has to be identified. Then you fit the people in and see whether it's going to work. Anyway, it's being done without waiting for the academic exercise right now. But we are looking at the key factors that will help to build such a thing. Now, that same approach I'm seeing when you had that discussion, asking what is the role FabLabka can play. In fact, here we have established company which has market access, let's say, and that is the BOI company. And then probably they don't have the technology, manufacturing facility, and probably even the cost structures which are needed to be competitive in the respective markets. And they don't have confidence to straight away deal with SME, which is probably consistency of performance is not guaranteed, and that is a major shortcoming if you want to go into international markets. Because if you are given an order, you have to process that with the right product and the right quality and right quantity and the right time, and it should be ready to go. So that means they need both technical know-how as well as managerial skills. So probably there is a space available for another company to plug into that business model. And that way, FabLabka could probably develop a new model which would help SMEs, and at the same time, it will help the bigger companies also by gaining access to newer products or lesser products or different technologies which they do not have at the moment. So it's just an idea.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So actually, Roshan, I would like to give an opportunity to Roshan because he wants to leave too, and he has some ideas about bringing biotechnology to Sri Lanka. So yeah, Roshan, go ahead and maybe you can point out some areas that we can capitalize in the future.
Sure. So actually, a prelude to this kind of prelude to a talk that I'm going to give probably in a month or so during this forum. So the idea behind bringing biopharmaceuticals, because I'm going to talk more about the biopharmaceutical because that's where my expertise is. Since like the whole healthcare section is moving towards the biopharmaceutical and cell therapy industry area. Most of the small molecule drugs are not the favor at this point. So all the companies, all the pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical companies are focusing on biologics and cell therapy products. When it comes to biologics, I mean, it's if you guys heard about insulin, antibody-based therapies like Herceptin, Humira, those kind of treatments are the future, and also with the advancement of biotechnology, now people also move towards the cell therapy industry, where we harness the power of immune system. We just train our immune cells to fight cancer. So there are FDA approved products that currently just coming into the market at this moment using cell therapies. So because of that reasons, we have a lot of opportunities in this area, especially when it comes to biologics manufacturing. We have a great opportunity to understand, to utilize the manufacturing excellence. So when it comes to manufacturing excellence for biologics and cell therapies, there's a lot of low-hanging fruits, where we can focus on if we can, employ the 3D technology to manufacture the support of the processes and the manufacturing. For example, if you consider the bioreactors, there are a lot of disposable parts that go into biologics manufacturing. For example, the tubing, the bags that hold the formulations, and the cells, and the incubators. There are a lot of disposable parts that go into these manufacturing processes. That's one of the low-hanging fruits actually we can focus on when it comes to if we can utilize 3D printing to manufacture these disposable parts. It's a huge industry, billions of billions, probably in 2020 it'll be hundreds of billions industry in terms of disposable parts that we use in the biologics manufacturing. That's one part. And also there are a lot of opportunities. We can utilize the 3D manufacturing to also when it comes to these processes, we have to do a lot of testing, characterization of these products require a lot of testing. So this testing also require a lot of for example, pipette tips, the plates that we use for the testing purposes. So there's another opportunity. We can utilize 3D technology or the manufacturing know-how, where we can take competitive edge in terms of getting into that kind of area. The other thing, when it comes to actual biologics, we can come up as for example, that for the small molecule, there's a generic industry, generic manufacturing. We can also go into manufacturing our own drugs. This can be applicable to low resource setting areas, low economies. We can manufacture our own drugs, or our own biologics for a small market. That also has a pretty good advantage, because the cost for manufacturing for the drugs is not that much. The cost for these biologics and the drugs are very expensive because because of the development cost. I mean, when they come out of patent, we have the ability to capture certain markets, where we can manufacture it and use develop our own biosimilars, which are similar to generic drugs in the small molecule area. So those are the things that we can kind of focus on with the low resource setting or low economics areas. And also, I mean, there are some other things that I would kind of put into my talk. So this is kind of an introduction to what we can be capitalizing on using existing technologies, and also, if we can kind of bring this you guys' idea of using 3D technologies for their manufacturing, that's kind of the thought process I was going through. If we can combine certain this very lucrative area of biotechnology, biopharmaceutical with the engineer, like the 3D printing together to bring, to get the advantages for the countries like Sri Lanka, like third world economies.
Okay, thank you.
Roshan, your area covers biomedical implants and similar devices?
My area actually
implants.
It's no, it doesn't. But when it comes to cell therapy, I have worked on cell therapy area. It's there is a lot of overlapping parts in terms of regulations, development, and implementation. So I think implants and the cell therapy kind of go side by side. So I think I have the first company I worked after my graduate school. I worked there about 4 years. That's more about the process development for the cell therapy industry. So there is similarities for those processes.
Why I ask, we had number of cases, number of patients for whom we designed and implemented a few implants. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Yeah. So thank you, Roshan. So we'll have a talk about that next time in the same forum. We can talk more. But I just wanted to bring it because again, another area that SMEs can in Sri Lanka can concentrate. There are a lot of avenues. We need to engage the people. That's why I just wanted to bring it, because when Priyanka was here in terms of so that we can engage IDB in that area as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have if you have a minute, I also I was trying to do this before. There was, this is a kind of a historical lesson. I came to Sri Lanka about 5 years ago, just trying to start up, exactly doing the developing biosimilar manufacturing. I talked to the people in the government. It didn't, materialize into an action plan. So, I think Grayson mentioned, since we have support from the Industry Development Board, we might be able to focus low-hanging fruits, and just try to build on that to develop into our own advanced biopharmaceutical industry.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I wanted to chime in this while we have the IDB director.
Right. Exactly.
Director General. The bigger position.
Okay, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Priyanka.
Before you go, just one question from Roshan before he goes.
Go
ahead.
Roshan, the product you talked about, does it need sterility and sort of fairly hygienic manufacturing setup to manufacture?
Absolutely. When it comes to cell therapy process, it's all about sterility and hygiene. So, we have to have very, very strong, set of protocols in place to. There are 2 levels, right? One is sterility assurance, and also there are the other things sterility. Again, to address your question, is that when it comes to cell therapy industry, it's all about sterility, because we are dealing with patient cells and just growing cells. There's a lot of interventions, but the thing is now this cell therapy industry is moving towards more automated manufacturing processes. That way, there's a very little human intervention in the process. So these processes are more automated. Now we have a lot of companies working on fully automating the system. That way, there is very minimum of human interactions to ensure the sterility assurance levels. And also, also when it comes to biologics, the difference between biologics, like other protein-based drug and the cell therapy is like each manufacturing batch, it goes into one patient. But when it comes to protein-based products, I mean, we can produce like 2,000 liter scale bioreactor. It can be like millions of doses. Okay, so when it comes to sterility assurance for protein-based or antibody-based drug is like it's like for one batch for 1 million, but million of doses for cell therapy product require millions of sterility assurance testing. So I mean, if you are going where you are going towards a sterility question was, I mean, do we have opportunity to capture there? Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there where we can make a lot of money if you have a testing or something like that you're thinking of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions from Priyanta or Buddhika, Ivanka?
Well, I have some kind of a suggestion, or like to discuss it. I think Rohan. So I think like we can discuss this later on regarding his cell therapy and the other products.
Sure, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because right now actually we are working on one product that will help for cell therapy, because we noted that Novartis came with that their patent last week, right? FDA approval. Approval.
That came for leukemia product.
Yes.
The CAR-T cell therapy product that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, because the price tag goes like $475,000, right?
Correct.
So we are working on some other products that will help for these cell therapy treatments. So we can discuss later on.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome, because the first company I was called, it's called Dendrianis in Seattle. So that's that is the actually first company to bring a cell therapy product to the market. That's the first cell therapy product. So I worked that's called Provenge to treat prostate cancer. So that's the first cell and immunotherapy product came into the market, and I worked on that project for 4.5 years. So I think I have a lot of exposure to this area and expertise and regulatory know-how, and also the process knowledge that I get with I mean, especially like you mentioned, the price tag was I mean, raised everybody's eyebrows, right?
Yes.
It just had $500,000 for those, but it's I mean, sometimes when you don't have other options, but there are opportunities where we can if we can implement these technologies in all those settings and find out the ways to bring the price down, especially these.
Yes.
When it comes to cell therapy, that's going to be the future of cancer treatment, autoimmune diseases, maybe even HIV, other disease paradigms. So the idea should be, if we can, the way to bring the prices down. There are a lot of testing going to this one. So quality control measures, manufacturing excellence has to be, has to gain. So if we can, bring together a pretty good team, including doctors, scientists, engineers, where we can identify the gaps in these processes and provide our own materials, come up with ideas to manufacture our own materials, and bringing up a very good automated system where we have to do least amount of testing, because the testing requires to ensure the sterility and other product attributes. If you can bring together a very good integrated system where we have to do less testing and show the sterility it's ensured, then we might have a chance in this bringing down the processes, bring down the prices, and providing it to a cheaper price than already offered by these big companies.
Yeah, so I see another big opportunity, again, another good product development exercise, the bio industry product. So that's another opportunity, of course, we can capitalize in the future. Yeah, thank you, Roshan.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to the talk. So.
Sure.
Welcome. Yeah. It's yeah.
Now, if you have any plan to sort of transfer technology to any of the industries in Sri Lanka, so we can pave the way, we can support. So please contact us. So we can, even if there is an investor, so we can link and support you.
Right,
as a government organization.
Yeah, I mean, to address that certain questions, like, I think I had spoken with Gretchen a little bit about these ideas. I mean, I've been planning this exercise for a long time. I have a garage full of biotech equipment and supplies that I have acquired during this time. If I get a chance to just spin off one of these companies, just get the I'm kind of like ahead in the game if you can find the support.
You need only a good landing point, so we can, I'm sure, provide that.
And also a good team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's the most crucial part.
Yeah, and also, like, we need to have an overall picture of whole thing. As I said earlier, so we need to apply the more product development approach for anything that it could be a service, it could be a real physical product, or like a drug or whatever,
or even support product, like there is a lot of money to be made in the support industry.
Yeah,
so exactly. You want to say something? We have 10 minutes left. Unmute.
Hello, Priyankara. I remember you mentioned about the new unit established for robotics and similar. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't know whether this is the one established under COSTI or COSTI. Yeah. Right. Okay. We are working very closely with Sri Lanka, and then some time ago with Lodestar and Mass Holding and so on in the use of robotics and related devices and so on. So good to be in contact with other SMEs if there are opportunities for us to be engaged in.
Yes, sir. We will invite you, sir.
I'm planning to visit their robotic park maybe next week. You can also join, Dr. Bhajan, if you are around.
Where?
Moratua.
Okay. Are you going there? Okay.
Yes.
Next week I will. I will see anyway.
Okay. By the way, just before forgetting, I want to say something now. The Sri Lankan government, the Ministry of Finance, has asked for proposals from the public for the budget for the 15th before the 15th of October. So last year before, I also did a hangout and made some proposals. Of course, they were not really in the budget, but I was thinking to have a similar Zoom meeting maybe next Sunday, not just as only among FabLabka people, but everybody, to collect some ideas and submit a set of proposal to the Ministry of Finance, particularly in the areas of digital technology. So I just want to make this opportunity, and we can also have a similar session. I was maybe thinking next Sunday, same time. So please join. I'll send the invitation. The idea is to give proposals, maybe short proposals, list of proposals to Ministry of Finance to be, be part of the 2018 budget. Yeah, that's a marketing advertisement. You can go ahead.
Yeah. So, Tivanga, did you have a question?
I didn't have a question, but I think the one thing that I was thinking about as I listened to this talk is the education part of something like building an innovation and new technologies with SMEs. I was thinking if since we don't have the education infrastructure, would SMEs be responsible for that portion as well? Kind of like what FabLabka is doing. We're training and kind of innovating at the same time. But that was just something that I was thinking about as I was listening to this talk.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of work that we can do in that space for training the SMEs, you know, along with the technology transfer that Kithsiri talked about. There are a lot of other things that we can train SMEs, especially in the product development spectrum. Yeah, and the technologies that go along with that.
Okay, on that, I just want to give a kind of update. Now, Purna Bandara, who is the general manager at IFS, is actually supposed to join today, but he is not there for some reason. Now, he's actually working close with us for FabLabka work, maybe even can be a future sponsor. Now, he's also the ICT Prime Minister's ICT Task Force Chairman. So he just had a meeting with Secretary of Ministry of Education, Mr. Hettiarachchi. So he said he will brief about also FabLabka. So if you want to, for example, reach schools, maybe for curriculum or any other purposes, so we also now can establish that link through the Ministry of Education.
Chaminda, this is PM's what task force?
ICT, he has combination of task force, ICT or science or some ICT, yeah, ICT.
Okay. Right.
Because there's like ministerial different task force. This the combination of task force is kind of headed by Ken Balendra. So I think he has arts, science, I don't know, different task forces with many, these people from different ministries. We actually had a presentation to all of them with the invitation of Purna on 3D printing at the Prime Minister's some kind of office 2 months ago. So now Purna is heading one ICT for education or something, where they are trying to introduce new subject curriculum. So that is why it's working closely with the Ministry of Education and the Secretary.
I'm reading this book called Robot Proof, which I shared with Gratian the other day, and in it talks about how, in order to bring about this fourth, industrial revolution, we need to also, or we as in universities need to change the way that they teach things, because the traditional approach to teaching isn't enough to bring about this kind of change. And I think, that's another area that where maybe Sri Lanka can start that in order to, because I think maybe even in the United States, they're kind of behind in the education catching up with what's going on. So things like AI, things like additive manufacturing, as opposed to just traditional, mechanical, electrical, or whatever it is. So.
But I want to also again tell something I just recall. Professor Patin also should be knowing this JAGAS, that is Japanese Alumni Association. Yeah. So they invited me to have a session on fourth industrial revolution and technologies for the industry. So they are hosting it. So we kind of do the real stuff. So I also invited Eng.Priyankara to be a resource person of that. So that will be also a way of introducing 3D printing and other technologies to industries. We are like the resource person, but JAGA, so the Japanese Alumni Association, where Professor Gunaratna is the head, who is also vice chairman of UGC. So we will be also doing that maybe in November.
But
Priyanka,
what you said is very interesting, because actually it is already started in Sri Lanka. There is a pilot project going on in Sri Jayawardhanapura Mahavidyalaya. They have converted one classroom into a digital learning classroom, and it has been experimented for some time. And very recently also the even Prime Minister was sitting with the students and followed the class. So that is really great. And in fact, to bring critical thinking, design thinking, and that sort of thing into the classroom, and also to stop people using this books printed on paper, and to use IC technology to really transfer information, there is interest in it. And in fact, the current program is going on. So if that is an area probably if you have resources to contribute to, probably you could link with the education ministry, and probably we could help them with that, and also whatever the resource inputs that we can bring in here could be made available to them.
Yeah. Yeah, we also have, I mean, at FabLabka, as you know, we are conducting this course where we use all the digital technologies, everything that is, most advancedly available technologies we use today, so that we can scale up. That is all. Right now, it's only 20 students, but we can scale up. If we get the support, then we have to have more resource personnel, of course, to deliver it to the greater community. So that's another.
As Geshan mentioned earlier, now it's not only big companies who have legacy systems and legacy structures, but also big countries. But when it comes to Sri Lanka, now we are like very much like hungry for ICT, new things in the education, the universities. The problem is, can we cater? Now actually there's a demand now from Prime Minister to everybody, at least trying to do things. It's true that there are issues of being successful or implementation, but my kind of problem is, can we deliver what is required in the schools, in the universities? Now, now I see, like when we started in 2013, it was even difficult to say what is 3D printing. Now everybody is trying to invite us. People want us to come and demonstrate. People want to come to our lecture. So now we actually have to have more discussion on how we deliver the whole, which is demand, particularly on scaling, as you said, and or finance.